With cyber threats surging, Microsoft is rolling out new AI-powered security agents designed to help businesses detect and prevent attacks in real time. The move signals growing reliance on artificial intelligence to counter increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. Joining me today is Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast to discuss how this technology could just reshape cybersecurity. Good to see you. What are Microsoft's new AI security agents?
The aim is just to stop these attacks and these phishing emails. So just to give you some stats on that, they're normally processing about 84 trillion security signals every day, so this is where Microsoft has highlighted that there's a threat to security and its users. And they're blocking over 30 billion phishing emails a year. And so clearly a human cannot help and do this. So that's why they've brought in these AI agents. They've spent about 6 months working on these. So there's 11 security agents, and they're going to automate this whole phishing detection and insider threat management. There's a big issue now because AI is being adopted more by the mainstream, this idea about shadow AI, and this is where employees within an organization are using AI tools without the approval, and so unapproved tools, and it's actually putting the organization under threat when they're giving sensitive information to tools like ChatGPT.
Yeah, goodness me. How does this complicated technology compare to traditional cybersecurity measures? What are they saying?
It's a whole new ballgame now with AI and the rampant evolution of it. So while it's being used for good, clearly it's also being used by bad actors as well. And so its aim is to just block and detect and fix these issues before a human really has to get involved. There'll still be a human overseeing, but the aim is the sheer volume of them is they need AI to really help with the AI that's causing the threat, if that makes sense.
It does, fighting fire with fire, so to speak. But with cyber attacks on the rise, how effective, I wonder, is AI in preventing these major breaches, things like we've seen with Medibank and other things like that?
I think only time will tell, and the aim of it is to try and detect and, I guess, mitigate before it becomes an issue. But yeah, I think they're clearly testing it. They took about 6 months to create all of these, and clearly there's been a lot of testing involved. But the actual, I guess, effectiveness is we'll have to wait and see when they're unleashed more generally.
Yeah, okay. So moving ahead now, and Florida's new social media law is making waves, extending restrictions to Snapchat and YouTube in a bid to limit teen exposure to online risks. What does this look like, and what does this actually cover? This is an interesting one.
It is, and I thought this was interesting considering the Australian government, it's gone quiet on this front now, but they were doing proposing a blanket ban for anyone under 16 from using social media in Australia. And so now it seems that Florida is doing a similar thing, but they're targeting specific platforms. So they have solid metrics around it. So it's the platforms where 10% or more of users are under 16 and they're spending more than 2 hours a day on the platform. So they're the specific ones that they're going to target. And platforms like Snapchat, because clearly will be one of those, have come out to say, look, we have security measures and things on our platform to safeguard younger users, but they even think this ban in Florida is not going to be enough. And I think the difference is with this ban is that people under 16 can still use social media as long as they have parental consent, whereas in Australia it was even with parental consent, users under 16 are banned.
Okay, so why were Snapchat and YouTube specifically added to this list of restricted platforms? I think that's quite an interesting one, considering there are a few more than that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it comes down to the proportion of users under 16 and the time they're spending on it. So Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, and I think definitely TikTok, I think they're all fair game for this ban, but it will come down to those measurements around time and user numbers.
Okay, so what are the arguments for and against this type of legislation? As you mentioned earlier, we have seen this happen in Australia where we've looked to make blanket bans, etc. What do you make of it?
There has been so much research to support the issue around the damage that social media causes people when they're comparing themselves to others, when they're being bullied online. There are so many negatives around it. There are also positives though. And so I can understand why people are saying a ban is important. However, on the other side, people are saying, look, while you may ban it, not only are you cutting people off from the negative, but you're also cutting them off from the positive. And particularly in, say, a bullying situation, you're also cutting users or victims off from their support network who are also on social media. So it's a really grey issue. There are positives and negatives with such a ban. But I think with this one, with parental consent in the use of it, I think is important. But I think parents have to be really on top of what their kids are doing online and be there supervising them as well, because you can say, yes, I give consent, but then not be actively involved.
Yeah, 100%. How might this law influence social media policies nationwide? Do you think more states will follow?
I think, particularly in Australia, I think if this actually happens, because they haven't said anything for a while, I guess with the election coming up, it's not number one priority anymore, but they were very vocal for a while. And I think actually the mechanics and around how they're going to do it and if they can really do it and the impacts of trying to do it, I think they will be almost like pilot studies. And if they do it successfully and then the outcomes are clear, then I think, yes, absolutely, other states and also other countries will jump on board.
Dr. Karen Sutherland, I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention and running through it with me today. Interesting times for social media, as per usual.
Indeed. Thank